Back with my buddy Dave Grening and back with another DRF Saratoga video. We're going to take a look at Saturday's 3 stakes. One added on after the postponement of a couple last weekend. But first, some breaking news this week. Dave has been on top of the story. We actually ran a race here Monday at the wrong distance. Didn't really find out about it till later that afternoon, and I know you've been nosing around. What's the latest on the on that situation?
Well, it was Wednesday's 5th race, state-bred maiden 2-year-old race. It was supposed to be run at 1.16 on the turf. Somehow it got run at 1.125 on the turf, won by Some Like It Hot Brown by 8 lengths. So I don't necessarily think the winner was going to lose if the race was a little shorter. No one was maybe he would have won by 6 or 4 if that was the case.
My recollection has it that he was well in front by the time they got to the 16th pole.
Yeah, he was in hand and in command at the 16th pole. But it's just begs the question, how could something like this happen at this circuit? There's a million starters, jockeys, trainers, stewards. No one's paying attention, and you don't really know why that could possibly happen. The comments from the Gaming Commission and NYRA is that they're looking into it and seeing, making sure it never happens again. Well, it hadn't happened before, and it probably shouldn't have happened this time. There's no disciplinary action that I know of being taken just yet. There's no official time of the race. They say time only matters in jail, and in this case that's true because there's no time. There will be no time and no buyer speed figure for the race. It's been timed several different times, and no one's going to believe what. No one seems to be believing what it is. So it's kind of a mockery of what a sham of a mockery.
No disgruntled bettors out of the woodwork claiming the distance might have made a difference in the outcome?
Well, maybe the exacta, because the difference between second and third was the nose. Christophe Clement's horse got a note by a nose over David Donk's horse. You would think that maybe they could have made a little bit of a difference there, but I haven't heard of any official complaints yet, just by me.
Also, 4 of the horses were easing there. These were 2-year-olds. 1.125 might be a little long for them to be trying to go at this time of the year. Obviously, 4 of them barely made it to the finish line. But anyway, let's look at some happier news, and that's the 3 stake races on Saturday's card, topped off by the Grade 1 4-star Dave. But we'll start with the Grade 2 Adirondack for the 2-year-old fillies. Grade 2, Grade 3, I can't remember. I think it's a Grade 2. But only 6 in there. 2 of them for trainer Todd Pletcher. He did tell me that he does plan to start them both, even though Guacamole is coming back on relatively short rest. Lyrical Lady will be the favorite. What's your take on this?
Yeah, I mean, it's a glorified A other than. You wonder, sometimes these horses come out of the maiden races, you're like, well, they've only had 1 start, and then you look at the field, and they've all had 1 start. Lyrical Lady might have the advantage in the fact that she won a race here, and she won it impressively on opening day. Showed really good speed and kept on going. Now, that was 5.5. You might want to look at Virginia Eloise, who did break her maiden at Belmont at 6. This is 6.5. And Virginia Eloise outside post, 5 out of 6, might give her a slight edge. But, the way Steve Asmussen's 2-year-old fillies and colts have been running at this meet, it's hard to go against him. So even though it's a short price, I'm on Lyrical Lady.
These races are funny because most of the horses that come into these races are all either on the lead or close to the lead, so you never really know what the pace scenario will be. Lyrical Lady probably not going to get the same easy lead tomorrow as she got in her first start, but buyer-wise, she's the top one to beat at likely a short price. The 4-star Dave will come next on the stake bandwagon. What a race this is. It's not the biggest field, but it certainly is an outstanding field. Delta Prince, Divisadero, Heart to Heart, Voodoo Song, Yoshida among the top contenders.
To me, if Delta Prince is going to win a Grade 1, this is the race. He's coming off a really solid effort in the King Edward at Woodbine, off the bench, ran 132-1. This horse would like a firm turf, so hopefully the weather stays good and it's getting dry and we don't get any off tracks, or more soft turf. That's the only Achilles heel I see for Delta Prince. I think he's going to get pace to sit right behind. Voodoo Song will be in front. Heart to Heart, who's going to come off a 10-week layoff, maybe longer, and be chasing or pursuing Voodoo Song. I just think it sets up nicely for Delta Prince, so I think you won't get big prices on anyone here. I think the money will be well spread out, but I think of the horses, to me, the main contenders, Delta Prince is the one I think will offer the best price. Yoshida is coming off a very nice effort in Royal Ascot on a straightaway mile. This is a 2-turn mile, which is probably better for him.
For those that do key races or pay attention to key races, that race, the Queen Anne, 7 of the horses that have come back out of that race have run either first or second in their next starts in Europe, and most of those have been in stakes races. So He finished 5th, got beat like a length and a half or something, so that was a huge effort for Yoshida. And an honest pace between Heart to Heart and Voodoo Song will help his chances as well. Now we'll go to the Lure, which was postponed last week along with the Wire due to the bad weather. The Wire will be run here on Sunday. We have 2 new shooters, 2 horses that weren't in the race when it was originally scheduled to be run. One is Projected, the other is Forge, and both of those are actually key contenders along with the defending champ, Zenor.
Well, I like Projected in here. Zenor and Projected ran 1-2 in this race last year. Zenor hasn't run since. It's been over a year since he's run. Don't really know exactly what happened to him, but he's going to try and pick up where he left off. He had a 3-race winning streak, but Projected, the extra week benefited him because he's coming back in 4 weeks as opposed to 3. I believe he was second to Oscar Performance at the last time out, so I think it's going to set up nicely for him. Forge is in here filling in for Bala Rocks, who Mott had entered last week. Mott didn't like the way Bala Rocks worked on Monday, so he kind of did a switcheroo there. Forge is interesting because he's run some good races. He's been second, beaten a half length by World Approval as a champion. It was not that far off, I believe, his Oscar Performance in another spot. So on his day, he can fire big, but I kind of like Projected.
As if Chad Brown doesn't need any more help, they postponed the race a week just so he can have a horse come in and maybe win another graded turf stake. Anyway, there's not only the 3 stakes on Saturday's card, though, but there's a lot of exciting maiden action for the 2-year-olds as well. Dave and I are going over the Clocker Report as we started this video, and we're going to go back and finish it afterward along with Donald Harris. A lot of good information in there. So if you haven't already taken a look at it, you can buy it for the weekend. You could buy it for the one day. Those maiden races, really important stuff in there. These 2-year-olds, and in all the races, actually, the stakes as well. A lot of those horses have been working on the grass. And don't forget, we'll be back here on a regular basis with Dave and a few surprise guests as we get to near the halfway point. Halfway point?
Saturday has the halfway point.
Nobody's counting that down more than my colleague here. But anyway, the halfway point is Saturday, so we got a lot of action still to come and a lot of action right here as we continue through Saratoga 2018.